Welcome to the Firehorse podcast, where we talk to B2B founders and leaders about their real life experiences and wisdom on building, selling and scaling businesses. And we gain insights into what actually works across sales, marketing, go-to-market strategy and AI. Today, I'm joined by Victor Brown, founder and CEO of Xcellent Life. Victor spent the first 20 years of his career in the energy sector, building and protecting critical national infrastructure through software. When his father was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, he had a realization that healthcare, the most critical system of all, was completely broken. That moment became the catalyst for Xcellent Life, a digital health platform that uses AI, wearable data and behavioural science to shift healthcare from reactive to preventative. Victor, it's great to have you on. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Emily. It's definitely a pleasure to be a part of the Firehorse podcast. So looking forward to the conversation.
Wonderful. So before we get into it, can you please give our audience just a quick overview of Xcellent Life and what you're actually building?
Sure. Xcellent Life is a digital health company that provides a software platform. And we do that in cadence to our mission, which is to improve the quality of life for all by advancing wellness. And so the way that works for Xcellent Life and our software is that we collect a very comprehensive set of health factors and health metrics. We help individuals understand where they are in their health journey versus where they should be. We help them uncover health risks, and we utilize AI to provide personalized recommendations so they can navigate their journey to being healthier in a much better way. We complement that through gamification, where we actually reward them through monetary rewards if they're improving their health in a way where they win our wellness competition. So we make their journey to being a healthier person fun and exciting, and we give them the powerful tools to help them know how to go from where they are to being a healthier person.
You spent 20 years in the energy sector, where protecting critical infrastructure was proactively managed. And then you looked at healthcare and saw a completely different reactionary approach being applied to the most critical asset of all, the human body. Can you take us back to the moment and what it made you decide to do?
Sure. So for me, it was a really profound kind of experience when I started learning more about the healthcare system with getting involved with my dad's care once he had been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And I was pretty alarmed because healthcare is centered around a reactionary approach, which made no sense to me. Coming where I came from, it would be like saying, hey, let's let that nuclear reactor start to melt down. And then once that happens, we'll go in and try to correct the issue, which would be absolutely ridiculous. But that same kind of ridiculous approach was kind of the standard that we bear in healthcare. We experience symptoms that lead us to the medicine cabinet, to the doctor's office, hospital, what have you. And in some cases, unfortunate cases, to the morgue. A much better approach would be just to leverage the available technology we have and proactively protect human vitality, human life. And so that's where Xcellent Life, the vision came from. You know, again, for me, why it was so profound that was not the way healthcare was operating at that point.
Okay, so the Xcellent Life platform is pulling in data from wearables, blood work, mood, lifestyle factors, and it's across multiple devices and integrations. Can you walk us through how it actually works and what it gives someone that they couldn't get anywhere else?
Sure. Just as a design principle, we knew that we'd have some incredible devices coming online from hardware manufacturers. So rather than to play in that space, it made a lot more sense to provide a layer of intelligence across those different kind of data silos. So they're great and they provide a lot of value, whether it's Fitbit, whether it's Apple Health, whether it's software ABC or XYZ. They all offer great value. But as a platform, we knew that we could carve out a space for being a horizontal layer of intelligence that we sit over the top of those different silos. So no matter where the data is coming from, we can look at it in a collective way and harmonize the data, then look for correlations between your heart rate, blood pressure, your mood, lifestyle, and all of these things matter. So as we start to look at human vitality in a very granular way across the data, our platform gives people the ability to really understand what is impacting their health and how to make the right adjustments for them individually to improve their health. And that's essentially how it works, just looking at, those metrics in a holistic way versus just independently.
It's really cool. So one of the things that makes this genuinely different is that you're not just showing people the data, you're using gamification and competition to actually change the behavior. So tell me about how that works and why you built it this way.
Sure. So through my learning of what happens in healthcare and behavior change being kind of the biggest opportunity, but also the most challenging thing to do, I was understanding that the legacy approach, which kind of standard approach, is to use perks, discounts, coupons, sometimes money that goes back to a health savings account, going out to a platform that is given to a large population to drive behavior change. The problem with that is that if you total up all of those perks, what you'll get is about $1,500 across the year. So if you deploy a solution like that across a workforce, I'm employed. So how much is $1,500 across the year going to be an incentive to me? It's not going to really change my behavior. And so that's what typically happens with these platforms that provide incentive structures that are like that, which are a lot of them take that approach. So we looked at that and said that a better approach would be to really drive herd behavior. And the way you do that is you put a bigger carrot at the end of the stick. So you take that same pot of incentives that's usually spread out across the entire population and you bundle that and you only give it to a few people. And the impact that that has is that, like, if you say, hey, audience, hey, workforce, hey, population, we're going to have you compete to improve your health and wellness. And the better you improve your health and wellness, the more points you get toward winning this pot of incentives. But the pot of incentives is a much bigger pot in our case. So imagine, if you will, a group of people working to win a pot of $5,000, $10,000. That is what we do to generate herd behavior, because it's not just a monetary reward that incentivizes people. That is a big help. You know, people will chase $5,000 faster than they will $1. But also the mentality that is triggered when you look to your right and that person is running, and then you look to your left and that person is running as well, it psychologically triggers you to run also. And so that's what we tap into in our approach in the way that we drive behavior change with Excellent Life.
Yeah, that's really cool. Bit of competition, egging each other on.
Yes, exactly.
So your primary customer is obviously the employer and businesses developing across their workforces. So how are you actually getting in front of those companies and winning as your customers? What's working best for you right now in terms of acquiring new clients?
Right. Great question. So to date, it's been going directly speaking to key decision makers inside the workforce. That's been our approach, but we have found some challenges in that approach because many times they're already working with a benefits provider or an insurance broker or someone that manages that type of application across the workforce. So we've shifted a little bit in terms of what we're targeting in terms of how to get to the employer space by working with insurance brokers, working with health plans, organizations that already are well entrenched inside the employer space. So then we come in as a value add that we're not having to introduce ourselves as the new kid on the block. We're coming in through a trusted partnership. So that's the approach that we take. And we're really excited about kind of some of the opportunities that are hovering around us, especially taking that new approach.
Yeah, that's a great approach and it makes total sense. You also mentioned that unhealthy workforces cost businesses around $2,000 per employee per year, and Excellent Life can send roughly half of that back to the bottom line. How do you make that case to a CFO or an HR leader who's never thought about wellness as a commercial level?
Yeah, sometimes it can be quite an educational process because, to the point of that question, not every organization may be fully aware of the cost of having bad health across the organization. So the first thing you do in pointing that out is they're probably going to be very well aware of what employee attrition, how that impacts the organization. So if you lose an employee, replacing that employee can be, kind of three times as much, depending on if they're an executive level employee. It kind of scales down from that. But when you can show them that a reason why they might have attrition is worker stress, uh, a worker being unhealthy due to stress, that can cause a higher employee attrition rate. So when you can affect that, then that's a really big number. They also anecdotally understand that when an employee is not as healthy, that they can't be as productive. So it is truly walking them through the process of the different value components. So there's employee attrition, there is productivity, and there is obviously insurance claims where you can reduce that number by having a healthier workforce. And then also having lower insurance premiums when over the course of time, you as an organization have not had as many claims. Your insurance premiums are going to go down as well. So once you start walking them through that process of value creation by applying a solution, they fully understand the opportunity.
That's really interesting, especially the stress piece, because that is one of the main issues in most workplaces, and it needs to be addressed for sure. Going back to the AI part, you're using AI to deliver personalized health recommendations, obviously at quite a large scale, across thousands of data points per user. So where is AI having the biggest practical impact inside the platform today? And where do you see it going next?
Yeah, it's interesting because AI can do so much now, and one might think that it's a very kind of complex, sophisticated thing that the AI is providing that has the greatest impact. But frankly, it's really the simple thing that is causing the greatest impact, and that is simply being able to consistently engage the user in a personalized way. So certainly you can look at all the data that you're collecting and identify some things that would take longer to identify, taking different approaches. That's great to do that, and we certainly do that. But by the measure of the impact that would have versus what we do by consistently engaging that user on a daily basis with consistent nudges, consistent pieces of information that are just meaningful to that particular user, those are the things that really drive behavior. And so I would say that's probably the greatest impact that we've seen with the utilization of AI in our platform, that consistent engagement.
That makes sense. So when it comes to the healthcare integration, you've obviously integrated with, I think you said Epic EMR, Apple, HealthKit, Garmin, Oura, Fitbit. That's a significant technical feat. How did you approach building those integrations? And what does connecting to the clinical side of healthcare unlock for your users?
Yeah, I think we always were moving forward as a design principle where it's going to need to be really easy to integrate third-party data sources. So as a design, that's how we were building our platform. But since then, it's become significantly easier to do that simply by leveraging AI, even in our development process. So we're leveraging AI even in the way that we develop our platform. And that really helps with the ability to look at a API. For those who don't know, an API stands for Application Programming Interface. It's just a description around how you take information from one platform and present it back to that same platform. So it's an integration, direction. So taking that API and then pointing your AI at it and say, hey, connect to this data source. And it does all the work for you. So we have utilized that, and it's made interconnecting to different data sources a lot easier.
So the digital health space is crowded, as we know. There are a lot of wellness apps and platforms out there. What do you think Excellent Life does that others genuinely can't or don't do?
Yes. So I would say in terms of Excellent Life, our vision was really big from the beginning. So it's both a double-edged sword because we envision Excellent Life being a platform that is the platform, comprehensive in every way. So it's a one-stop shop. Because that vision is big, I think it has been more challenging to have the investor community understand the opportunity to do that versus them feeling like, well, maybe you guys are trying to boil the ocean. I've heard that a lot. But because I've been involved in software delivery for my entire life for 31 years, because we have this big vision doesn't mean that we're trying to do everything at one fell swoop. There's a very staged approach. And it just so happens that leveraging AI, those staged approaches can happen very quickly. So the differentiator in what we do is from day one, we took a very comprehensive approach and said, how can we couple the functionality together in a way that would most empower the end user to have greater health? And I think starting with that mindset gives us kind of a functional advantage in terms of the way we deploy our solution and what a person can do with it and how they're empowered compared to other solutions who may have a very specific thing that they do and they do it well. But in totality, they can't do everything that we do at Excellent Life. At least it wasn't designed to do that. So I would say that is probably the differentiator.
Awesome. So where do you see Excellent Life going over the next few years? And what do you think the future of preventative health looks like if the technology gets deployed at real scale?
Yeah, I think really the differentiator now when it comes to software companies will be distribution and partnerships. And so I'm focusing a lot of my efforts on building those relationships and getting distribution and partnerships in place. And so when I fast forward those organizations in place and partnering with Excellent Life, I see Excellent Life as a global brand. There's some opportunities that we have in Brazil and Japan. I spent this past December some time in Japan. So I'm really excited about what the future looks like for Excellent Life, especially as we bring a little more capital to the table.
I'd love you to come to the UK too, please.
Absolutely. Love the UK.
Okay, so finally, for our audience, anyone that's listening that wants to find out more about Excellent Life, or if they want to get involved, where's the best place for them to go?
Well, I would say start at our website, and I'll give you two websites because we have our company website that is www.xcellentlife.com. So Excellent Life with the X, take off the first E. And then we have our product website, which is where our technology is housed, and that's www.XcellentAgent.ai. And so in either one of those websites, you can really tap into who Excellent Life is, the power of our platform, and learn a lot more about what we're doing.
Amazing. Well, Victor, this has been a really powerful conversation, especially the framing around critical assets and why we should be protecting human vitality with the same rigor we apply to national infrastructure. It's a perspective that really sticks and is super, super important. Thanks again for your time. I really appreciate it. And to our audience, thanks for listening, and we hope to see you again next time.